Hey, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know, I've been sitting here. I've been sitting here for half an hour and maybe longer actually. And nothing was coming. And, and then a friend called. Um, a friend called and a buddy in recovery called. And he was experiencing um, what I call the when we're on the path, if you will, even though there is no path, but when we're waking up, when we're realizing that ourselves are realizing that our persona, that our ego-based self had been killing us. Um, we stuff comes up, and he said, I feel kind of like a fraud. He said, I'm here, and I'm doing the work, and yet I feel dishonest, and I feel you know unworthy, and I feel angry, and so he was going through this stuff was coming up of and I said, well, after he spoke for a while, I asked if I could share, and what I saw, what I believe, is that this is amazing. It's like, wow, this most of us for a lot of our lives have been stuffing emotion, stuffing fear, stuffing into our, often down into us, into our, we've just been stuffing it, and a lot of it we've been using as evidence to say that we were unworthy, and evidence to say that the world was not a safe place, and evidence to to build our fear and our anger with. And so when we start the journey to awakening to this living in the presence of God, in the now, in love, stuff's going to percolate. It's, stuff's going to come up. Ego's going to say, "Who do you think you are? Do you think that they're going to love you? Do you think that this is a safe place? Do you think that?" And because ego is always talking about the outside. Ego does not want to be in the now and present. It really doesn't. It's afraid of love, in a way, because it tells us that we want it, but that it has to be a certain kind. It has to be delivered in a certain way, and it has to have all kinds of conditions around it. And so we're running around often, many of us, our whole lives saying, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. This is not love. This is not, freedom. This is not, a relationship with God. So if any of us are on the journey, and I shared with him, it was beautiful, because that stuff rolls up. It doesn't, stop happening because we've been at it for a long time, or because we've been, moving. I don't like to use the word seeking, because in a way, there is nothing to seek. We're becoming our true selves. We're not looking outside of ourselves for something. And so as we become our true selves, our true selves, we are love. We are free. I asked about the words, and I wrote some content on this talk this morning, about freedom. What does it really mean? To be free in this moment, to really be free in this moment, is to be here. Freedom is now. Our jail that we've lived in has been in our mind, in our ego, in our thoughts. So true freedom has no conditions. No conditions. It's true freedom. Doesn't need anything. Isn't looking for anything, so we're not seeking. So the idea actually of being a seeker is it's from the ego. Ego says, yeah, we'll keep looking. Maybe we'll find it tomorrow. Maybe we'll find it tomorrow. And seeking keeps us out of the moment. So it's part of the language you use sometimes in talking about spirituality. But let's let go of seeking, because true freedom is not something to be found. It is who we are. That's right. The same with love. Same with love. Love is now. Love isn't outside of us. Love isn't, of course it's everywhere. Freedom is everywhere. It's in everything. And love is everywhere, and it's in everything. And yet it isn't something to look for down the road, or when she does something in a certain way. We may be more aware of it when we're having a beautiful meal together, or when we're with somebody else and we just feel the love in the moment, and that's beautiful. But we didn't create love. It's always been there. And everything in the 12-step program brings us to that. It's not a doctrine. It's a pointing to this conscious awareness of this moment. And in this conscious awareness, we begin to have intuitive thoughts. We begin to, realize who we are. Wisdom comes because we're here now. We're part of this. We are this moment. And one of the things that I put in the list was prayer. How do we to be here now in prayer? Totally in prayer, totally in communion. Yeah, prayer isn't throwing darts. It isn't outside of us, right? It isn't to something else, right? Zero judgment, zero conditions. Yes. So prayer isn't. Many of us have a misconception about God. We imagine God is something separate. God is either everything or he's nothing. Is there any limitations in the presence of God? So where do we meet God? In this moment. Through prayer often. So prayer brings us into the moment. Prayer is the vehicle to be here now. And the same with gratitude. Gratitude isn't for something. We're in the duality when we're saying thank you for this, but not for that. Thank you for, my health, except for this leg. Well, I pulled this muscle. No, thank you for all of it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, that kind of a thank you is like a prayer. And it brings us into the moment, into this connection. So many of us in recovery have lived in guilt and shame. Yeah, guilt and shame and fear. And, we've had these ideas that life should be a certain way, and it wasn't being that way. And so we, blamed ourselves or blamed others. And it's all in the mind, and there is no mind. The mind is just all these thoughts, And so when my friend called today and he said, I'm feeling, anger, and I'm feeling resentful, I said, well, look at the work you're doing. Look at the work you're doing. The work you're doing is bringing you closer to this moment. And there's going to be resistance sometimes. The old thoughts are going to come up. It's, we've been stuffing them down forever. You know, we've been stuffing down anger. We've been stuffing down fear. We've been stuffing down judgment, self-judgment. So it'll percolate. Just watch it. Don't be attached. In the moment, watch it. Say, oh, look at that. I'm feeling fear. And it will move. It does move. So, yeah, just without attachment, though. So how do we be complete in each moment in prayer and gratitude? In recognizing God's grace that we, from the ego, we didn't create this. We're in it. And ego, my ego likes to tell me that I did something. So what a beautiful thing to be free of that. What a beautiful thing to just experience this, So the beautiful piece of the 12 steps is that we're not encouraging somebody to believe. Although a certain amount of belief is like in the beginning, it's okay, there is a God, I believe there's a God, I believe there's something, that's helpful. But what we're pointing towards, where we go with those steps, is an experience. A real experience, and in that experience is freedom. In that experience is love. Yeah, right. In that experience is gratitude. So that's what's there, and then we we become love. We become we grow into a certain wisdom. This is who we are, and it starts to open the doors of life. We are life. The doors of life are busted open. And we serve others, and that's it. Nothing to, there's no fear. Fear is gone around money or being alone or not being alone. It's all, we're free. So sometimes I think I go too far. Sorry. Anyway, whatever. Who's the I that thinks that? Who is the I that thinks that? That crazy I. You know who I mean. The I. Gosh. Anyway, here we are, Superstar, and we're reading still. I've been reading from this book. Today it says on my little trusty little watch that it's the 19th of October. And so this little book, these things are helpful. They're helpful. They bring us back into the moment. We into contemplation, into awareness of ourselves. And this little book was written in 1954 by, a fellow whose name I can never remember. But the 12-step world was very new and young at the time. And yes. Oh, I just wanted to say something. If in your world you say, well, I'm not an addict. This isn't really for me. I'm not an addict. I don't, or an alcoholic. I believe that we're all addicts. We're addicted to wanting to be right. We're addicted to wanting to get our way. We're addicted to our ego, or to our story. And so we compulsive with our story. Don't you know who I am? That kind of thing. So we're all addicts, and this works for everyone. If you want a nice little book that kind of explains it, Russell Brand wrote a book called Recovery, I think. I've got a copy of it here. Russell did a nice job on the steps. And so I have my bookshelf somewhere, but yeah, get Russell's book on the 12 steps. If you fancy yourself an alcoholic or an addict, but you're struggling. And there's freedom. I mean, true freedom available through, and there's many paths to this. We didn't invent this. The 12 steps were just, a path to this awakening and to this realization of who we are. But and there's many paths. I really enjoy Muji. I listen to Muji a lot, and saying the same thing ultimately, and many teachers have said the same thing. Christ had said the same thing. Buddha said the same thing. Be here now. Okay, I just got an invitation for dinner on Wednesday. I don't think I'm going to be in town, but we'll see. Okay, the 19th, here we go. It's funny, I'm doing this on my phone and messages come up in front of me. It's life, eh? Look at where we're at. When I won't go into memories. Okay, thought for the day, October 19th. Do I realize, who's the I? There's a lot of I's in his thing, but we'll go into it anyway. Do I realize that I do not know how much time I have left? Oh, no, of course. Time is the thief. We don't have time. Is interesting that when our judgments, from our ego-based judgments, our duality-based judgments, time is always part of the equation. So let's see what he's saying. Do I realize that I do not know how much time I have left? It may be later than I think. Am I going to do the things I have? Am I going to do the things that I know I should do before my time runs out? I should do. By the way, what is my purpose for the rest of my life? Do I realize that I have to make up? Do I realize that I have to make up for in my past wasted life? Do I realize all I have to make up for in my past wasted life? Mostly what I'm talking about is kind of beyond that, because when we experience, when we have this experience of now, of love, of this moment, all of that stuff kind of disappears. Our whole life shifts. So he's talking more, from the level of the mind. But do I know that I am living on borrowed time? Of course, and that I would not have even this much time left without the 12 steps and the grace of God. Am I going to make what time I have left count? Yeah, it's a time-based conversation, but we'll let him have it. It's, all right. Meditation for today. We can believe that somehow the cry of the human soul is never unheard by God, by love, by the moment. Universal intelligence. It may be that God hears the cry even if man fails to notice God's response to it. The human cry for help must always evoke a response of some sort from God. It may be that man's failure to discern properly keeps him unaware of the response. Yes, I believe that when we truly ask the moment with sincerity, with humility, we tap into, when we truly ask, we tap into this power, this love. Yes. Humility. But one thing we can believe is that the grace of God is always available for every human being who sincerely calls for help. Many changed lives are living proof of this fact. I think I might go get some glasses, just to the drugstore. I just need like 120s. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may trust God to answer my prayer as He sees fit, as the universe sees fit. I pray that I may be content with whatever form that answer may take. Beautiful. So thanks, you guys. Hi, Mel. Hi, buddy. I love you, man. Hope you're doing well. Okay, you guys. So be here now. Love, unending love, is here now. Right? Gratitude is here now. Grace is here now. Compassion is here now. Okay, love you lots. Thanks. Oh, I think tonight at 7 we're going to have a little meditation. I'll be on Zoom at 7. And tomorrow sometime we'll be reading the Bhagavad Gita. So, yeah, I think tomorrow around noon we'll shoot for the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, love you guys.